Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Glad to have you with us.
Hello, everyone.
Today, we're jumping into something really fascinating. We're going on a bit of a culinary journey, looking at some, truly unusual food traditions from different corners of the world. Our guide for this is a really interesting blog post we found highlighting 7 specific, quite unique food practices.
Yeah, some list.
Right.
Sure.
So our mission today is basically to unpack some surprising facts, try and understand the sort of deep cultural meaning behind these foods, and, give you a quick way to get up to speed on just how diverse food can be.
And it really does challenge, our basic ideas of what food even is.
Right.
It's a great reminder that knowing about something is one thing, but understanding the context, the culture, the history, that's where the real value lies. It helps us appreciate human ingenuity, really.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so let's dive right in. First up, Thailand. And get this, red ant egg salad.
Right.
So red ant eggs as a delicacy. The source says they are, often in salads. Apparently they have a pretty distinct sour taste. But it also mentions they're believed to have medicinal properties. What's going on there?
Yeah, it's quite remarkable how ingredients we might find, unconventional, become really prized elsewhere.
Sure.
In Thailand, these eggs, kai mo dang they're called, aren't just about flavor, though that sour pop is valued. They're part of a more holistic view of health.
Ah, okay.
Traditional beliefs often link them to things like aiding digestion or providing energy like a natural tonic. It shows that deep connection to the local environment where food is both, food and medicine.
That's really interesting, that food is medicine angle. Okay, let's shift gears quite a bit. We're heading north to Norway for Rakfisk.
Ah, yes. Fermentation station.
Exactly. This sounds intense. It's a traditional dish apparently known for a powerful smell.
Uh-huh. It definitely has a presence.
Made from fermented fish trout or char, usually. Salted, left to ferment for months, often served with potatoes, sour cream, that kind of thing. What's the deal with fermenting fish like this? It sounds pretty challenging.
Well, what's fascinating here, I think, is the why behind it. Historically, in climates like Norway's, you needed ways to preserve food through long, harsh winters.
Right. Makes sense. Preservation.
Exactly. And this specific type, anaerobic fermentation, meaning without oxygen, was a critical technique. The strong aroma and taste, that comes from specific bacteria breaking down proteins into things like ammonia and fatty acids.
Okay.
It's chemistry, basically, turning something perishable into a stable, high-energy food source. It wasn't just about taste, it was survival.
Wow. Necessity really is the mother of invention.
Okay, speaking of ingenuity and environment, let's swing over to Mongolia.
Boodog!
Boodog. Very different.
Yeah, this one's about the cooking technique. It sounds incredible. They traditionally cook whole goats or sheep
That's right, the whole animal.
by stuffing the carcass with super hot rocks and herbs and then cooking it over an open fire. I mean, hot rocks inside the animal? How does that even work?
It's actually brilliant and totally connected to the nomadic lifestyle. Think about it. Resources like fuel and water are scarce on the steppe. Using hot rocks inside creates this sort of internal oven. It cooks the meat incredibly evenly, steaming it in its own juices while the outside gets cooked by the fire. It's super efficient, needs minimal gear, and it's perfect for feeding a group after, say, a hunt or during a migration. Resourcefulness at its best.
That is seriously clever. Okay, from hot rocks to, back to insects, actually. Let's head to Mexico for Escamoles.
Right, often called insect caviar.
Insect caviar. Okay, so these are ant larvae, another delicacy. The source says they have a nutty taste and are often sautéed with butter, garlic, chili. Sounds almost familiar in a way.
The preparation is key there.
We talked about the Thai ant eggs earlier being sour. How does this compare? Is it a similar idea, just different ants?
It's a great comparison, actually. Both cultures embrace eating insects, which is, entomophagy. But the culinary approach is quite different. In Thailand, those red ant eggs, as you said, often add that sour, bright note. With Mexican Escamoles, the goal is usually to highlight their texture, sort of poppy, like caviar, and their flavor, which is genuinely quite buttery and nutty. So they use fats like butter and savory things like garlic and chili to enhance that.
Interesting.
It just shows how the same type of ingredient, larvae in this case, could be treated completely differently based on cultural taste and tradition.
Really highlights how culture shapes flavor preference. Okay, now for maybe one of the most famously challenging ones on the list, Iceland. Hakl.
Oh, yes. the fermented char.
The source definitely emphasizes the pungent nature of this one.
That's putting it mildly for some people.
So fermented shark meat, it's buried in the ground for months, then hung up to dry for more months, resulting in apparently a really strong smell and an ammonia-like taste. Why eat something that sounds quite so aggressive?
Hakkerl is actually a perfect example of food tradition born from extreme necessity, and it tells a really important story.
Yeah.
See, fresh Greenland shark meat is actually poisonous to humans. It's full of urea and trimethylamine oxide. You can't just cook it and eat it.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. Poisonous.
Yeah, so that long fermentation process, burying it, then drying it, is absolutely essential. It breaks down those toxic compounds.
Ah, okay. So it's not just preservation, it's detoxification.
Exactly. It's about making an otherwise dangerous food source edible and historically vital in a place where, let's face it, not much else grows easily. It became a symbol of Icelandic resilience, really.
That completely changes the perspective, turning poison into sustenance. Incredible. Okay, let's shift to something maybe a little more familiar, at least in concept. South Africa. Biltong.
Biltong. Very popular.
Right, so dried meat. The source says strips of beef or game, even ostrich, marinated in vinegar and spices, then hung up to dry. Now, lots of cultures have dried meat, like jerky. What makes biltong distinct?
Good question, because people often compare it to jerky, but they're actually quite different.
How?
Two main things, really. First, the use of vinegar in the marinade is crucial for biltong. It doesn't just add flavor, it helps cure and preserve the meat in a specific way. Jerky usually relies more on salt and heat or smoke.
Okay, vinegar. Got it.
Second is the drying process and the tut. Biltong is typically cut thicker and air-dried slowly, often for several days, without heat. Jerky is often thinner and dried faster, sometimes with heat. This gives biltong a different texture, often softer inside than jerky, and a very distinct flavor profile from the vinegar and spices like coriander. It's more than just a snack, it's a real staple.
Interesting. So the process really defines it. Okay, one more to go. Let's head to China for century eggs.
Ah, the pavan. Visually striking, these ones.
Definitely. Famous for that dramatic look and strong taste. The source says they're preserved eggs, duck, chicken, or quail, packed in a mixture of clay, ash, salt, quicklime, and rice straw for weeks.
Quite a concoction.
And this process turns the yolk dark green or black, and the white becomes like a translucent jelly. And the taste is described as strong, pungent. What is actually happening chemically to cause such a huge transformation?
It's basically a controlled chemical reaction using alkalinity.
Right.
That mixture, especially the quicklime and ash, creates a highly alkaline environment. Once high pH starts to break down or denature the complex proteins and fats in the egg, the egg white proteins essentially rearrange themselves into that jelly-like amber or dark brown substance.
Right.
And the yolk. The fats and proteins break down differently, producing those rich, complex, sometimes slightly sulfurous or ammonia-like flavors and that creamy, dark color. It's not decay, it's a deliberate transformation. Ancient food science, really.
Wow. It's like alchemy with an egg.
In a way, yes. It completely changes the ingredient, challenging our idea of what an egg should be.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. Thailand, Norway, Mongolia, Mexico, Iceland, South Africa, China. I mean, what's the takeaway from all this?
Well, I think
it really shows that what seems weird or unusual to one person is, perfectly normal, even cherished somewhere else. It blows up the idea of a single standard for what's good to eat.
Exactly. It broadens our whole perspective. Understanding these foodways isn't just about quirky recipes. It's about appreciating human adaptability.
Yeah.
How people have ingeniously used their specific environments and resources, sometimes under really tough conditions, to create unique culinary traditions. It encourages a kind of critical thinking about our own food habits, too.
Definitely. It makes you question your own assumptions.
Each tradition tells a story about history, about survival, about cultural identity.
Well, that was a truly fascinating tour. I hope listening along gave you some surprising insights and maybe a new appreciation for just how incredibly diverse food can be across the planet.
And maybe something to chew on, so to speak. As you think about Hakkerl or Escamoles or century eggs, how do these traditions challenge your own ideas about what's edible or even what's delicious?
Yeah.
What does that tell you about how much culture shapes, well, everything, even our taste buds?
Definitely food for thought. A real testament to human ingenuity and culture. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
See you next time.
Join us next time for another deep dive.